what's up? Welcome to the Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. This is episode number 26, and I am Adam Choit. To follow this show, it's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram, and I'm at Adam Choit on Instagram as well if you want to follow me. And once again, I have no affiliation with the band. This is not an official podcast or anything. I'm just a pretty big fan. And if you're listening to this, I'm guessing there's a good chance that you might be too. So be sure to subscribe as well and give the show a positive review on iTunes. Doing those things is definitely helpful for sure. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to the State of Amorica podcast, a podcast similar to mine, kind of, but all about the Black Crowes. Those guys are great, and you definitely want to check out their podcast. State of Amorica is the name again, because they just interviewed, guess who? Susan Tedeschi, and I listened to that entire interview, and it was just awesome. I'm pretty jealous of those guys for sure, but they're great. The Black Crowes are great, and definitely check out State of Amorica. For this episode of TTB podcast, it's going to be a solo episode, probably on the shorter side, but I've been thinking more about different ideas for some solo episodes. Maybe I could do, again, something about lyrics, talk about some of TTB's influences, maybe Mahalia Jackson, Bob Dylan. I could do an episode all about that side of things. But for this one, I just thought I'd talk about all the Tedeschi Trucks band shows I've been to, and even a couple of other ones that were just Derek and Susan. And a lot of these have come up in past episodes. But I don't know, for shits and giggles, and to have it all in one place, I'm just kind of sort of talk about some memories that jump out at me related to these shows that I've been to, and just some anecdotes. And a lot of these shows are a blur and blend, and a whole string of them have been at the Orpheum Theater in Los Angeles. So maybe some of those blur as well. I can't imagine what it's like to be in a band and play thousands and thousands of shows for a countless amount of people over the years. Like, you can't, I always just think, does the band remember the show? I can't even remember the fucking 15, 20 episodes, 15, 20 shows I've been to. So I can't imagine what it's like to be in a band, but something must jump out at musicians more than others. Maybe they remember the venue, or it's hard to. I'll find out someday, I guess. But anyway, getting into this episode, the first TTB show, which wasn't even, I don't even think it was a TTB show, of course, because I mentioned this before, is the House of Blues Hollywood show, which I think was September 2nd, 2010. It was a guitar shredding competition, and Joe Bonamassa was a judge, I remember. And it was at the House of Blues in Hollywood, like I said, and that place is gone. That place doesn't even exist anymore, which is sad because, you know, it's always been a cool venue to see music, you know, for a smaller club type atmosphere. But I don't even remember it being, I don't know if it was a full band, but I think it was definitely two drummers, and Mike Madison, Susan, and Derek. But that was a cool experience, and that was sort of my first time ever seeing Susan and or Derek live, and that was fun. Doheny Blues Festival, May 21st, 2011, which I guess is my first official Tedeschi Trucks band show. And that was at Dana Point, California, which is right on the ocean, right on the beach. To your left, I recall, I think is the ocean, and straight ahead is the stage. So it's definitely a great vibe. And I remember bringing high back chairs by mistake instead of low back chairs, and that probably upset some people around. But more experience now and understanding what the difference between a low back chair and a high back chair is, which is fairly obvious. But I don't know. I don't remember sitting that much during that show. I tend to move around, but they had a great version of Midnight in Harlem at that show, which I found on YouTube shortly thereafter, I remember. But I think that's gone. I can't find that anymore, but I'll poke around for that one. that track, of course, with a great Derek intro and outro solos. Hollywood Bowl, September 5th, 2012, with BB King there and hit BB's band and TTB. And BB was 86 at the time. I kind of looked at a review of this show and read a little bit a little bit of a refresher, but I do remember that night that BB he had great energy. I mean, he was sitting, of course, for an older dude, but he had great energy, enthusiasm, played great guitar, sang great, sounded great. The band was awesome. BB's band. I'm talking about BB's band right now, but he worked the crowd and was hitting on Susan when they all played together, and of course that's the viral clip with John Mayer and BB King and Derek, and BB telling Derek that it's the best he ever heard, and there's an amazing solo. Definitely check that out on YouTube if you haven't. But the Hollywood Bowl itself is a great venue. It's built right into the hill there, and you're outside, and pretty much for all shows that are hosted, I guess, by the in-house people and not an outside vendor, you can bring any food or alcohol you want in there. The sight lines and in terms of distance from the stage, it's not the best for being higher up, and the Hollywood Bowl should definitely add 2 more large screens on the sides. That will help. Big ass screens they need. Maybe they have that now. I haven't been there in a minute, but yeah, the Hollywood Bowl is definitely a cool place to check out a show. Legendary place. And we're back at the Doheny Blues Festival, May 18th, 2013. And what's funny is that I don't really remember much about this show. I was there on the Saturday. I definitely wasn't there for both days. So I remember Ben Harper. I've seen Ben Harper a few times. I think I've seen him a few times really in those years, like 2012, 2013. And he plays well, and he's cool to see live. But yeah, I remember every single TTB show that I've been to being awesome and loving it. I will say that for sure. But that one doesn't really jump out at me for whatever reason. If I look at the set list, I'll be like, damn, I'm gonna see if I can't hunt down actual audio, whatever. I'll probably dig deeper into all these shows and see what's out there, because not every track went viral, but is still listenable and awesome for sure. But Brooklyn Bowl, Las Vegas, May 30th, 2014. I bring this up all the time. I feel like how that's the last time that TTB has been in Vegas was, I think, for a run of 3 shows in 2014, and I was at the second of 3 shows, and I can't tell you how much it was such a regret. And I brought this up about not being there for all 3 shows, especially when they were pretty affordable, damn affordable at the time. And the Brooklyn Bowl was a cool venue. It's pretty much all general admission floor, club type atmosphere, some bar and reserved seating along, I think, both sides of the stage, along the sides of the area inside there. And there's also a bowling alley attached, which you can't really hear or see from where you are watching the show, but just another weird Las Vegas thing. And it's pretty much right on the strip, attached to, what was it? I forget what it's called, but near Caesars. I forget what they call that that part of town. And it's like the name is dedicated to this, like, the strip of stores and venues and attractions in that part of the Vegas Strip. But anyway, that was a great show, and it was a great vibe and energy and a great set. And I was there with a group, and we were pretty much up front, right, pretty much leaning on the stage for that show. And that was just that was cool. TTB had already been around, I guess, 2011, 2012, 13. Middle of 14, so 3.5 years. They were an established, not that they needed to find their stride, but they're growing as a band. There's a difference. There's definitely a difference in the sound between 2014 and 2011 and 2018 and whatever, all these different eras of TTB. There's definitely slight differences. It's all awesome though, as of course I would say. um, Greek Theater, November 1st, 2014. Actually, I think this was no, they did two shows at the Greek. There's another one at the Greek, but I don't go to as many concerts as you think, and most of the shows I go to tend to be things like TTB, or smaller shows, friends bands, things like that. But the Greek Theater itself is a smaller, more intimate Hollywood Bowl. That's kind of what I think of it. It's got a similar vibe, like built into the side of the hill, amphitheater or whatever. I think that's what you call them. But I was up front at the pit, in the pit for that show, and met some of the band after. And I think my car was the last car to leave the parking lot that night. So that was a pretty memorable night and show, I think. There's something I was gonna say magical, but there's definitely magic at all the shows I've been to. But that was special for sure, the Greek Theater. Santa Barbara Bowl, not too far from LA up the coast. This was a Wheels of Summer tour show with the late Sharon Jones of Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings, and that was just a lot of fun. It was a similar vibe to the Greek Theater. I think I saw that was an afternoon show, so that I think maybe that was the Doheny was a daytime show. I like daytime shows, but I think night shows are better. I like concerts are better at night. It doesn't really matter, I guess. Nighttime is the right time. But I sat next to a journalist at this show who was jotting down notes, compiling ideas, I guess, for an upcoming review. And I remember looking at the review in the coming days, and it was all positive and glowing, as you might imagine. Santa Barbara Bowl, that was fun. Then I was back at the Greek Theater, June 10th, 2015, and I don't really remember much about that show for some reason, but it was fun. I can guarantee you that. And then the B.B. King tribute show at the Grammy Museum here in LA as well. That was September 1st, 2016. And I did an entire episode about this already. That was episode 15, I believe. And it was just a fucking awesome experience at the Wallace Annenberg Center for the Performing Arts in Beverly Hills, California. And it included Susan, Derek, Kebmo, Slash, Jimmy Vaughn, Joe Bonamassa, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, and more. And they all played. And the ones who sang, and it was the house band was Conan O'Brien's Basic Cable Band, and that was just a super awesome, memorable night. Quinn Sullivan also played guitar, and they had some great jams. Check out that episode because I talk about the whole thing. They started with a jam on. They started with the jam on Thrill Is Gone, and just the opening song, and then the final song they did, When Love Comes to Town, the U2 B.B. King song, jammed on that. And in between these different musical performances and BB songs, they had video and people speaking and a host speaking about BB King's legacy and music and memories and him as a person and his bio and all this stuff and all this information. I can't believe I was there. I'm very lucky to have been at that show, that tribute show to the great BB King. Copley, is it Copley? Copley Symphony Hall, San Diego, September 3rd, 2016. This was my first San Diego show, and I do remember there being a little bit of a difference in the vibe between an LA crowd or a Vegas crowd or even the daytime Santa Barbara crowd compared to like a San Diego, which is, it seemed like a very laid back crowd, not like New York crowd or something like that. But the show was awesome. I will tell you that. And I think I remember that show, just the Mark Rivers vocal at the end there on Bound for Glory, which they closed this show with, it was awesome. And you could even It was so great that it even woke up the San Diego crowd. I hope I'm not bashing San Diego crowd too much. I'm going to whenever they go back down there. I'm gonna go to that show, and I did go to another show May 12th, but we're gonna in 2017, but we're gonna get to that. No, that was actually 2019, but we'll get to that. Then the Orpheum Theater, LA, September 16th, 2016, and I believe I have been to 6 TTB shows at the Orpheum, 2 in 16, 2 in 17, and then the 2 more in 19. So a lot of the Orpheum shows, I guess those kind of blend together. But like Josh Brick, former guest of this podcast, calls the Warner his home, and the Ryman his others in Tennessee his others home venue. I suppose that the Orpheum Theater seems to be my home venue, and TTB's LA, I guess, sort of home front now, as they've been there several times, and that's pretty much where they played all the last few shows over the last few years. But it's a cool downtown venue. There's like a pizza place right next door. It's funny though, that's what jumps out at me. But there's a little patio in back, and a lot of the band is mingled with fans before the show, in between sets, and after the show back there, and it's just a good vibe. It's a beautiful theater. They got a cool little bar down there that I try to sneak into, but that doesn't always work. But I want to get tickets in the balcony one day for a show someday. I feel like that would be fun to just be up there with a group of friends, or whatever, and chilling up there to see a show. But I was also at the Orpheum the next day, September 17th, 2016, with a friend, and this entire show, I think both of these shows are online, shot dead center. I forget who shot those, what YouTube channel. My apologies for that, but those shows are awesome, especially that September 17th show. For some reason, you can hear me yelling during some different tracks, and at the beginning on "Let Me Get By." But yeah, that's just an awesome show. It's just one that it is one that I come back to a lot. And then I see some other the next 2 Orpheum shows, November 10th and 11th and 2017. And again, it's just always a good vibe over there. And the 11th was Veterans Day, of course, and also my mom's birthday. And they played "You Don't Know How It Feels." That must have been right around when Tom Petty had passed. Susan on a harmonica. And then I was back. And then actually TTB did not play on the West Coast in 2018 or 2020. But of course not in 2020. But they did not make a West Coast trip that I recall in 2018. So it wasn't until May 12th in 2019 when I saw TTB again at the San Diego Civic Theater, similar to the Copley Symphony Hall, if I remember. It's a theater. TTB loves theaters. And that was just a cool show and a fun vibe, and I connected with some people there, and I tagged along with a group of some of the band after to a local tavern, and I appreciate not getting thrown out that night, but that was fun. But yeah, this was actually 2019 was a good year because this was an awesome week when or week or so, seeing TTB May 12th in San Diego, and then 15th Jimmy Kimmel taping, and then 16th at the Orpheum, 17th at the Orpheum again. But yeah, the San Diego show was cool, and hanging with some of the band was awesome as well. Of course, everyone is great and so nice. But the Jimmy Kimmel taping, that was awesome experience too, and it was interesting to see a little bit behind the scenes. doing some multiple takes and Jimmy doing his introductions and just seeing some of the nuts and bolts behind how that all comes together, and watching the band, watching how it all comes together for TV. But they played Shame, TV version, Signs, Hard Case, I think, I Want More, and When Will I Begin. And When Will I Begin was pretty magical, as is everything that they did. The awesome jam on I Want More. They were having fun. But yeah, When Will I Begin, that's kind of stood out at me. Maybe because the song was especially new, and it's a bunch of it's a more of a ballad, I suppose. But when you let go and you fucking just get into that zone and you're escape into the music, so to speak. These are all cliches. I know this, but you guys know what I mean. May 16th, of course, back at the Orpheum, and that was fun. I remember kind of wandering around that show a little bit and hanging out with some random group of people and up top at the very top of the theater. But you can hear the concert as you're moving around the venue. No matter where you are, it is going to sound awesome. And sometimes I do not watch the stage. I'm looking around. I'm taking in the whole experience of being there by sometimes even closing my eyes and just listening to the music. I don't know. I don't need to stare at the stage from my seat the entire show from start to finish. I don't know. I'm there for the music. No. But anyway, that was a fun show, as was the one the next night, the last show that I've been to of TTB. 2 sets, of course. Most of these shows, or many of these shows, I was lucky enough to see 2 TTB sets for. But the final song for that May 17th show at the Orpheum in LA was Space Captain. And I think that's where I left off in terms of seeing live TTB shows. I want to get to the next one. When is I have to figure that out. I don't know. We'll see if that's probably not going to happen, but that would be cool. Like, I feel like that would be awesome to be at whenever the next show is. I mean, they might have dates added, they might have dates changed. Everything is probably very up in the air moving forward. But that's pretty much all the TTB shows I've been to. I didn't count them. I could go back and do that. But 2019, of course, was a cool year. And I'm always thankful for the music, even if there's not any live performances going on right now. Just the fact that there's so much stuff on YouTube, on the archives, re-listen app, all these different sources, and I own all the albums. And so there's plenty of ways to access the music and listen to it, enjoy it, appreciate it. But for now, check out Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram. That's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. And remember to tap subscribe or follow on iTunes, Spotify, or whichever way you listen to this show. And positive reviews on iTunes, of course, are greatly appreciated and are helpful. And I think that's about all I got for today. I appreciate you guys listening. You guys are cool. More great guests upcoming, more great content coming. This is kind of just the beginning. I'm just getting started, I think. But I appreciate the support for sure. Talk soon. Later.